Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mackenzie Davis. I'm a Maryland realtor, and not only do I talk to you guys about how to buy a home, but I also talk to you guys about how to be a realtor because I think that's something that's not talked about enough, unfortunately. And I would have loved this kind of mentorship when I first started, so I'm just putting that energy out into the world. I just hope that you guys see this and are able to grasp something that maybe helps you kickstart your real estate career, because there are tons of ways to do it. It just is a matter of what works for you and your market and what you really vibe with in terms of your business plan. Honestly, I feel like any of the tactics that I use in this video or talk about in this video can be applied to most scenarios and will help you regardless if you just need somewhere to start. So keep watching. We're going to talk about lead generation. We're going to talk about organic strategies, everything in between. And a plus of this video is that none of these things are actually going to cost you money up front if you do it the way I did it, which I will of course explain. I'm really proud to say that I've never really invested any money into marketing because I've been able to generate leads organically through social media, through lead generation apps, through all kinds of methods, which I'm going to tell you about, of course. Without further ado, let me set the scene for you, okay? I was a freshman in college. I was 19 years old. COVID happened, right? I got sent home for my freshman year of college because the dorm shut down. So they were like, you guys can't stay here anymore. I wasn't local. I was like 5.5 hours away. So I moved home. My boyfriend moved home. Everybody moved home. I was like, well, I'm bored because summer hit really quick after that. I wasn't in school anymore. I had started working with my mom at an assisted living facility as a social work assistant. So I had a lot of free time basically. So I decided to take a real estate class, and for no other reason than I wanted to flip homes. I didn't even really understand that real estate agents don't just like flip homes. Like, you can be involved in the process, I guess, and it definitely helps me be an investor now, but it really wasn't what I thought it was. And in fact, the class is quite boring because it's so much law literature and the terms and vocabulary. It's just like a lot. It was just out of my wheelhouse, let's say. I was a psychology major. My plan at that time was to become a psychiatrist. I'm a licensed therapist, but I'm not a psychiatrist. All that to say, like, my plan was just always different from the start. Like, I never intended to be a realtor. When I got my license, it was really interesting because I just fell into the brokerage that I work at. It was great. Like, it was fantastic. And they're 100% commission brokerage, which means I keep 100% of my commission. I love them so much for that reason. Like, they really give the autonomy to the realtor in so many more ways than just that, but they're known for being an agent's brokerage. They're not there to make a profit. They're just kind of there to support. And I've always felt that through them too. So I was lucky that I fell to that brokerage because all I did was email them and say, hi, I want to affiliate with you. Don't do that. Please go meet them, interview with them, say hi, say your name, make that connection, especially for real estate. You want that relationship. But I didn't think to do that, I guess. So I just affiliated with them because I thought that it sounded nice, and I'm glad it was. I would definitely be a bit more careful than that. I always tell people that when they're interviewing for brokerages, they should look at 3, probably have conversations with a few, and remember that you're interviewing them. Any brokerage will say yes for the most part, unless they're like a luxury brokerage or a team or something where they have a selection process, because really you're making the brokerage money regardless. So they're going to want you to be there. And that's the thing you need to remember. I was a new agent and I didn't know what the heck was going on. I had no experience in this business. I was literally a teenager. I was determined to sell one house. I said, if I can sell one house in the summer that I am home from school, I will be golden. I ended up, and I'll tell you how, that same summer selling 4 houses and leasing 7. It was a total of 13 clients that I had worked with that summer and closed deals with, which for a first summer, for a first month, for a first anything, like, that was great for real estate. I was just blown away. I was never expecting that. I really do attribute a lot of it to my mentor. Like I said, my brokerage was very supportive and they also required mentorship. So they had a mentorship program. I'm actually now a mentor at my brokerage. So if you're ever looking for one in Maryland, hit me up. Regardless, I was able to work with someone right off the bat who knew what was going on. That's important to know because my God, is it confusing? And they also don't teach you half the stuff that you have to do in the actual job when you're doing a real estate class. For example, they do not teach you how to write a contract. That seems like something that should be in a real estate class. They also don't teach you how to do a showing or what happens at a closing. None of that. You learn about loans, you learn about interest, you learn about liens, you learn about tax, you learn about the law, right? You're gonna be clueless when you start. It is just part of the journey, I promise you. There's so much that you do as a realtor and you're gonna be like, what? Where did this come from? I've never heard of this. And that's why I say number one tip is have a mentor. That is part of my first $100,000. Step one, get a mentor. Otherwise, you're gonna spend so much time fumbling around trying to figure out what you're doing that you're gonna miss opportunities and you're not gonna close the deals. It's just better to feel confident going into things anyway and like knowing that you have that support behind you. I know a lot of follow-up questions to that is what and how do I get a mentor? I think there's like a few different ways. It depends on what's offered to you and like what's around you. They have brokerages that offer this sort of structure in some way, shape, or form. Some do it better than others, I would say. For example, like mine has classes that they require you to attend and then you're assigned a mentor and you actually have to get field experience with them and all of that stuff before you can be fully on your own or whatever. I think that that's a really valuable way to do it. With any new member education that's offered is important to consider. You can also get mentors outside of your brokerage. Expect them to be kind of expensive. They offer courses or programs or in-person programs that you can go to and pay someone monthly, or typically it'll be like a ratio split on a few of your deals. That's how they do it at my brokerage as well. There's usually always going to be a cost, but I promise you it is worth the investment. In my opinion, I would do it 100 times over because it just saved me so much time and made my experience better. Once I got my license, I pretty much had to go back to school, and I went to school in Virginia, so it wasn't like I could practice real estate in Maryland unless I was going to be driving 5 hours. But I'm not doing that, especially in a weekend if I was gonna have to be back for class for the week. I would go back to school and be a regular student. And it wasn't until my summer break the next year that I was gonna be able to start practicing real estate. I was like, I don't wanna do nothing though, right? Like, I don't wanna just sit at school and not be involved in real estate like I just got my license. What I did instead, and I don't know how I feel about this still, I created a social media account on Instagram for my real estate specifically. I didn't want to mix the two because I didn't want everyone in my personal life to feel like they had to be subjected to my work. I wanted to keep that part separate so that if my clients wanted to follow my like professional page, they didn't have to also see me in a bathing suit. I don't know, I just feel like those two things weren't going together in my mind. And so I created a separate Instagram account, which I still have to this day. Recently this summer, I was saying I have 2 interns that are working with me and they've been so great and so helpful in getting content posted. So that has been happening over on my Instagram more so. When I first started it, it was just me in my college apartment and I was posting 3 times a week because in my head, if I can at least create this social media presence for myself by posting for basically 9 months, 3 times a week, then when I come home and I get my first client, I will still have something to show for myself. They're not gonna open up Instagram, which they will, by the way. Your clients are always gonna look you up. This is important to either, if you don't have social media, I mean, that's fine, but if you have a presence, they'll be able to find you. And I think on Instagram, it was nice for me because I knew in the back of my mind, oh, if they're looking me up, but they're not like seeing any deals because I haven't done any yet, they're at least seeing that like I have some knowledge about the business, maybe some taste, some experience, who knows, I don't know. It made me feel better, so I didn't really care. Like I was just trying to do something. And I did host an open house when I came home for winter break, so that was my little toe dip in the waters of real estate. I was terrified and I think like 1 person showed up and I didn't get any leads from it. I ended up coming back home in May after having posted on Instagram 3 times a week, like religiously. I had that in my to-do list every single Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I would then go home in May, and when I think it was about March or April, I realized I kind of need to get my life together. What am I going to do for clients? Like, how am I going to get clients? I am, I think, now 20 years old, and my friends are not buying houses right now. My friends' parents are not like trusting me to help them buy or sell because I've never done it before. They know that. I don't know. It just wasn't readily available to me. Not that I think it is for everyone, but like I think if you're older, maybe you have more availability of like work friends or real friends or whatever. Nonetheless, I needed a different way to get clients. And so I went to my Facebook and went to my brokerage's Facebook page And I searched in there. It's like a message board that we have for all of the realtors. And I searched lead generation because I just like wanted to see what was available. I mean, I was expecting them to post people here and there, like if they got leads that they were giving out or something like that, which I did learn that is not very common for brokerages to do that. So if you're anticipating, like just depending on your brokerage, that is not really a reality in most cases. You have to look elsewhere for clients because of course you're the main source. And for the first time, I saw something about this app called OpCity. And if you have followed me for a while, you are like, shut up about OpCity because I talk about it all the time. And it is really what changed the game for me. When we talk about that summer that I did those 13 transactions, all of those, every single one of those came from this app. I found it because someone else had posted about it a year prior. I requested that my broker add me to the app. They do have to be affiliated with OpCity, and I'm pretty sure that they're on a wait list for agents right now too. So I know this was like a few years ago when I was on here, but fortunately they have a ton of other apps that you can use that are similar to this. I have a picture, which I'll have Ashlyn put right here. Thanks, girl. It basically is just pick an app. I don't have personal experience with the other ones, so I can't like vouch for them like I can for OpCity. The way they work is they will alert you if they have a lead available. You do have to be the first to accept it typically, but then if you are, they'll connect you immediately with the client, like on the phone. You'll get to talk to them, you get to know their needs. It's always buyers for the most part because of the fact that they're getting these clients from Realtor.com and places like that where people are searching for houses and then they put in a request for a tour, and that's how they're reaching you. Then that person is your client from that point on. So you have to update the status on OpCity, you tell them what's going on with the client once a week, and then you're just working with them. I will say something that a lot of people don't realize in the beginning is that they work off of a very particular algorithm. And if you're trying to use this as a serious way of lead generating, you need to commit to this algorithm because it will really, really reward you. And I didn't know that going into it. I just happened to be like a fiend for leads, and I had nothing else going on that summer. I wasn't working another job because I wanted to just like go 100% into real estate, and I was living at home when I was home in the summer, so I wasn't really like worried about bills at the time, which I'm really fortunate for. Of course, I know not a lot of people have the same experience. So what I did was I turned my ringer on and I would just accept every single lead that came through. And obviously it wouldn't work every time because someone else could accept it quicker than me. But what I didn't know would happen is that the frequency of how many leads you accept, how quickly you get in contact with them and update the status in the system pushes you up this list, right? You are all of a sudden getting better leads. I think it was within a day or two or 3 days or something where I was receiving leads for like $400,000 budget buyers. My first client that came from this app was actually a renter with a really high budget. It was like $3,600 or something at the time, and this was 2021. I remember being like, you can buy, because if you can afford that much in rent every month, you obviously like have enough income. We ended up getting them pre-approved. They had been trying to buy in Pennsylvania, it wasn't working, so we started looking in Maryland. I think I submitted 14 offers for them. The one that got accepted was for a $600,000 house. That was a lead that came from this app, and I was literally 20 years old. I couldn't tell you how this had happened. I just felt really lucky, but it was truly the algorithm and being able to just accept these leads. That was my strategy that summer. I did that, and like I said, the 13 deals came from that. And before I left for the following school year, it was my last year of school, I had to give my remaining clients, I had to refer them to another agent so that I could head back to school and, like I said, finish my degree. I was also applying to grad school at the time, so that was part of my plan to come back here to Maryland and sell real estate and go to grad school too. Eventually, you know, I ended up actually going back and forth between school a few times to do showings for clients because I just couldn't get enough of real estate. It was all because of OpCity. And if you're wondering what their fee structure is like, it's 35% of your commission typically, unless they've raised it. I haven't done a deal with them in a little over a year, so I'm not sure if it's changed, but that's what it used to be. And essentially you don't even ever have to worry about like paying them, because as long as you put their tax thing on your brokerage's forms, they will deduct that and send it to Opcity and then pay you. Of course, you don't want to pay any portion of your commission. Who would? But I will say some business is better than no business. And if you are just sitting there just trying to get clients and it's not working, maybe you don't have money to invest up front, because that's the thing too. I didn't pay for those leads until they closed. I didn't have to worry about paying all this money and them not working out, because if they didn't work out, I didn't have to do anything with them. I would just release them back to the company, and that was that. So really valuable, low cost. It really helped, because then the following year, the people that I helped rent to were then buyers, or I could help them rent again, or they referred me to other people. That helped me be able to bolster my business and give me clients when I did not have any. In the meantime, I was mind blown by this, right? So I started posting on TikTok. I posted one video on TikTok that was explaining exactly what I'm telling you guys. I had this fantastic summer off of school and I made all this money and it was crazy and all this stuff, and it blew up. It got 300,000 likes or something like that. And I was just over the moon, because I used to create content when I was way younger, and it was fun to like have a reason to start creating again. And so I started making more videos about my experience and telling you guys how I did everything and what I was using and what I was doing, just like I am right now. And that's how I really grew my TikTok platform. And it was never my intention to use that for leads, but what ended up happening is like I was essentially showcasing my skills day in and day out on this app, trying to teach you guys how to be realtors too. But when clients would see it or people would come across it, they would go, oh, this girl knows what she's talking about. I'm looking to buy a house in Maryland. I'm gonna call her, which was unexpected but really great, because it turned TikTok into my #1 lead source for the past 2-3 years. And I'm really, really grateful. Like last month I closed 3 million in real estate, and that is a first for me for sure. But all of those leads came organically through TikTok. And again, that doesn't cost any money to post videos. When people talk about like investing in yourself and investing in your business and just posting, just do it, just, you know, create the content, like I mean it, because it really has paid off tenfold in my business through social media. It's a cool way to get involved. I mean, I'm not saying you have to do this, especially if you don't want to. I also always tell people to lean into what they're naturally into. That's just me. Social media, I've always been on it. I think Instagram was released when I was in 5th grade and I immediately made an account, and I've just been on it for my whole life, so it comes naturally to me. If there's something that appeals to you more, totally lean into it, because at the end of the day, you have to be interested in it. Otherwise, you're just not going to do it. If you don't have fun door knocking, you're not going to do it. If you dread it every day, you're just going to do it less. But if you love creating videos, you're going to post videos all the time, and you're going to really lean into that. So I always just recommend people do what they like. If something doesn't work, try something else. Like you can keep different things going. You can try different things all at the same time. I mean, it doesn't hurt. There are other organic ways to get clients. I, however, have never done the traditional stuff. I've never cold called. I've never done mailers. I've never door knocked. I just haven't done that stuff because I haven't needed to, in the sense that like I was going back and forth between school and stuff. So I wasn't really like looking for clients. And by the time I was, social media was the catalyst for kind of keeping my career up and going. Outside of those two things, there's only one other thing that I have done and that I consistently suggest that other people do if they're looking for organic leads that you actually don't have to pay anything for. If you are on Facebook, then you know about Facebook groups. They're basically just like little communities of people for tons of different stuff. I'm in a bunch of them, and I always have been, just for random stuff like in my community or school or whatever I've been a part of. When I got into real estate, I realized there are a lot of communities around me with tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of members, and are completely open to posting either about your business or people posting questions that pertain to your business. People saying, hey, I'm looking for a realtor in the Annapolis Moms page, or hey, I'm gonna be selling my house soon, looking for resources. People post stuff like that all the time, and yes, other people are gonna comment too, but I've actually gotten leads this way where I'll comment and answer whatever questions they have, and then say, if you have any further questions, just like reach out to me, I'm a realtor in the area, instead of like pitching myself from the jump, being like, I'm a realtor, blah, 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 call me. You have to actually answer the question and like provide value. And I think that in turn is what helped me get the clients. If not, you're just really not being helpful. You're just giving them your contact information and then they still don't have an answer to their question, which is like a pet peeve of mine if you can't tell. I think it's frustrating when realtors do this. You have to be kind of strategic about it and always make sure you provide value. Besides the Annapolis Moms page, there's actual specific pages for like renters in Anne Arundel County, renters in Baltimore City, renters in wherever you live or whatever. You can put that into Facebook and just see what pops up, because whether it's roommates, whether it's housing and sublets, whether it's rentals or for sale by owners, or whatever page you can find, there's people actively posting in there looking for someone to help them find a rental. Now, I will say a lot of times these are clients that have tougher credit scores, and the reason they're posting there is because they've been denied by several places. So it is a challenge oftentimes to work with clients in these pages. In my experience, it helps to at least get you out there and to get experience with the process. Also, rentals are a bit easier, so if you want to start kind of slower and then work up to the actual sales of properties, that could be a great way to start too. It just gives you the experience, but you never know what could come from it. There could be someone looking for a realtor to help them sell their $20 million home, and it could be you if you were to find that post on Facebook. Those are the only things that I've ever done to get clients, and I have sustainably made over $100,000 in my 5 years in this business. And the great thing about that too is that you really can't do anything but grow in this business, because the more that you put your name out there, the more the word of mouth will spread, and everybody will just know that you're in this business and they can call you if you're a realtor, especially if you do a good job putting your name out there and being on social media or putting out advertisements or whatever you need to do. The other piece of that is that referrals are always going to come back. If you leave a lasting impression, those people are going to want to refer you to their friends, their family. And when someone asks them, hey, who did you use when you bought your house? And they have something glowing to say about you, then that's great for your business. All in all, those are the strategies that I've used that have worked. And like I said, I haven't really paid any money for these outside of the commission that goes to the lead generation service after the fact, and business cards, I guess, if you count that as a marketing expense. I definitely bought a lot of business cards, but that doesn't really put anything on the thousands that people spend on flyers and handouts and things like that. And to be honest, I feel like those types of marketing things are on their way out with digital media now. People just consume so much more from their phone than they do from things coming through the mail or, whatever it is. And so I'm hoping that in the coming years we kind of transition to being more so in this space, but who knows? I know there's people that love the traditional ways, but I like to provide different opportunities or different avenues for people who are just not into it like I wasn't. So those are the things that I would tell you helped me bolster my business. If you guys have any questions about this stuff, you can always leave them down in the comments and I'll try to address them. Or if you have ideas for things you want to know more about in long form, I will love to make videos on things that you guys want to know about. That is it for this week's video. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope that this made sense and is adaptable for you, and you can take this and put it into your business plan or, whatever you want to do with it. I'll talk to you guys next Friday. Bye. Running down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side.